Continuing from the previous episode 2830. Bang bang bang. Intense energy and energy suddenly fought in this high sky full of demon abyss, with a mighty momentum. Wherever the two powerhouses fought, the void cracked and twisted. Obviously, this level of battle could be said to be a constant stream of suffocating sensations, especially the four people in the core circle. Attack fluctuations are even more terrifying. HMPH. I can't think of a dying person who can transform to this level now. In the distance, the coalition forces of the two sides were completely fighting together. The flames of war swept across the sky, but Ren Shenzi stepped into the void with his hands on his back, and waved his hands again to dismiss the attack of the other three. The combined offensive of these three people should not be underestimated. Even if he is not sure of winning. Xiao Yan was just on the verge of being endangered, but with such a crazy move as the Dark King, he not only regained his new life, but also gained the full power of the devil. Now his power has skyrocketed to the peak of reincarnation, and his combat power has reached an appalling level. Although the Dark King's strength has been greatly reduced because of the devil's robe, as one of the two masters of the underworld, there is no doubt that he still has many terrifying killers in his hands. As for Xiao Yan, this old man was in control of most of the Xiao family back then. The former Xiao clan was ranked the #1 race in the Great Thousand World, and the clan mansion possessed an unimaginable background. I am afraid that among the three, he is the most threatening. The two archangels have completely fallen. Our Xiao clan's hatred, it should be repaid. After a short while, the demon Xiao Yan's whole body flashed with magnificent colors, and a mighty evil spirit erupted from the demon's eyes, with awe-inspiring killing intent. HMPH, shameless. Facing the insane tone of the demon Xiao Yan, Ren Shenzi didn't take it seriously. He sneered. His eyes were gradually replaced by the power of black and white. He was obviously as powerful as him, and it was also a feeling under the cooperation of the three peak 9-layer reincarnation rank powerhouses. To the great pressure. Go! The three of them looked at each other, and immediately the majestic power of reincarnation spread. I saw three black shadows passing by in the void on the edge of the dark wall, and launched a final offensive against it with a posture like hiding the sky and hiding the sun. Although the demigods are strong, the son of the gods is only in the early stage of demigods, and the time to step into demigods is still short. Gathering the three peak powerhouses of the ninefold reincarnation among the Xiao clan today, it might be impossible to fight. Yin-Yang Scroll, Chaos of Life and Death. The son of the gods breathed heavily, and immediately a black and white yin and yang power burst out from his eyes, forming a black and white picture scroll in front of everyone. There are not too many complicated patterns on the picture scroll. It is just an ordinary picture scroll made of black and white patterns, but the faint fluctuations released on it caused Xiao Yan and the three to be moved. However, the son of the gods has a strong offensive, and the demon Xiao Yan and the Dark King are not vegetarian. Hoo! Buy me some time. Seeing that the demon Xiao Yan and the King of Darkness were almost on a par with the Son of God, Xiao Yan looked through the dark wall, and after hovering over the Son of Man, he spoke to him. Yep, demon Xiao Yan and the Dark King nodded at the same time. The breath of the devil, the power of holy flame poured out into the Senran galaxy, and blasted them away with a new attitude. Time is running out. So far, I can only try that thing. As soon as the words fell, the elder Xiao Yan stood like a dead tree in the dark void, and then a silver-white scroll slowly appeared in his hand. As soon as it appeared, the entire dim void was completely shaken, and the evil clouds above the sky quickly subsided, as if under some kind of heart-pounding oppression. It was obviously just a silver-white ordinary scroll, but it had such terrifying power, and its power even surpassed that of a demigod-level man and an asterisk child. This volatility? Being entangled by the demon Xiao Yan and the King of Darkness, he was overwhelmed by the entanglement, but the Son of God barely managed to pass through the gap. When he saw this scroll, the power of yin, yang, and black and white in his body trembled slightly. Your heart starts to be chaotic. The demon Xiao Yan smiled faintly, with 10-colored luster lingering in his palm. He pierced the void out of thin air to suppress him. The dude who pretends to be mysterious will catch you all today. Blast me! The power of black and white all over the Son of Man's body flipped rapidly, and immediately poured all of it into the picture scroll. A black and asterisk that was enough to subvert yin and yang turned into an endless abyss, and the power of destruction slowly overflowed from it, with a terrifying momentum. Crash! Just when the expressions of the demon Xiao Yan and the Dark King just changed, and when they tried to urge Xing to fight against them, a very soft silver-white halo swept out from the side, and then completely covered everyone's bodies. How can it be? The Endless Flame Alliance coalition forces fighting below were also sheltered. Immediately, the full-strength blow of forgotten immortal Xuanzun was actually annihilated above this silver-white halo. Gulu, is this, God, sacred art? Are you crazy? Seeing that the quaint scroll in Xiao Yan's hand began to beat with dazzling ancient patterns, the yin and yang vortex behind Ren Shenzi suddenly shrank, and a long-lost shock emanated from the depths of his soul. Although he is ranked as a demigod, he does not possess any of the 4 god-level exercises: god-level fighting skills, god-level body, and god-level soul. If Xiao Yan did everything at the expense of himself and performed magic, he didn't think he had the possibility of surviving. Damn it. Looking at the many coalition forces in the rear, also under the desperate and asterisk attack of the Endless Flame Alliance and others, they were defeated and suffered heavy losses, and the face of the Son of the Gods suddenly became hideous. In this battle, the losses were heavy, but it did not achieve any results. But, if it is entangled again at this time, once Xiao Yan's magic technique comes, I am afraid that even he will only be sadly lost here. At the pinnacle of the 9 reincarnation rank or even the demigod rank, it seems that he knows how to seek good luck and avoid evil. Under the balance, Ren Shenzi also shook his head suddenly. Go! It can't be said that the Son of the Gods forcibly broke free from the siege of the 3 people, and took the spiritual body of Wangxian Xuanzun and swept away to the position of the Dark Wall behind. In the hands of the Endless Flame Alliance. Want to go? How can it be so easy? Xiao Yan and the Dark King looked at each other, and there were faint traces of chasing and killing him, but the speed was very slow, apparently just for fainting. After a short while, the 2 of them broke free from Xiao Yan's pursuit and fled into the underworld city, and the place at the underworld wall finally became quiet. Demon Xiao Yan shook his head slightly, and his body trembled. With the power of the pinnacle of the 9 reincarnation rank and the power of the demon robe, he was barely able to compete with the powerhouses in the early stage of the demigod. Are you all right? The dead silence above the sky lasted for a while, and Yun Yun and the others rushed towards Xiao Yan together. The concern and anxiety in the beautiful eyes became more and more obvious. Fine. The entire void was almost quiet, and then the demon Xiao Yan turned slightly to face the 2 women, and everyone showed a very evil smile. The second battle of the trip to the underworld seems to have ended, and the next thing is the top priority of the entire trip to the underworld. Continuing from the previous episode 2831. Ren Shenzi fled away with Wangxian Xuanzun. Without the commander, the coalition of the 2 forces collapsed and fell apart in an instant. At this time, in addition to the endless demon abyss below, there are countless demon mansions of different shapes, and the wreckage and withered hands are constantly protruding from them, seeming to be ruthlessly devouring the world. All energy, the entire void appears to be more and more evil. If it weren't for the suppression of the demons and the power of darkness on the underworld wall, I am afraid that this demonic abyss would be enough to spread out and completely devour the entire underworld. And after the complete transformation of the real demon, Xiao Yan strangely discovered that this demon abyss seemed to be the power carried by the demon power itself. It's just that such power is still a long way from the legendary magic. All the power swallowed by the devil's abyss is returned to Xiao Yan's body, conveying the most pure and pure to this ancient emperor the power of. The crisis was lifted, and everyone took a deep breath. Elder, what's your situation? A group of people stood in the void on the edge of the dark wall, looking at the particularly dignified Great Elder, and the power emanating from the strange scroll in the latter's hand, which seemed to be far beyond the power of a demigod, and they all changed their color. If this guy really exerts this kind of power, this underworld may exist in name only. However, no one noticed that even if he was just about to perform the magic, before the mystery of the scroll of magic was completely lifted, the power of reincarnation in the Elder's body was consumed by the scroll. God-level fighting skills, divine arts, that at least require semi-God level powerhouses to be qualified to use, the courage of the Elders is really admirable. HMPH. you old man hides it deeply. The King of Darkness seemed to have noticed something, and he turned his head and snorted coldly, but his eyes were looking at the endless demon abyss below. Without the leadership of Ren Shenzi and others, most of the opponent's coalition forces have been completely devoured by the endless demon abyss, and the surviving powerhouses were all captured by the endless Yan Alliance and others. For them, this ending was a heavy loss. And for Xiao Yan, the big housekeeper of the Xiao family, it is not surprising that he has a magic technique in his hand. After all, possessing divine art, and being able to perform divine art together, or perform divine art alone, these are completely different things and cannot be confused. Cough cough. This is the treasure of my Xiao family. Divine art. Destroy the cloud realm. It was not until the figures of Ren Shenzi and their breath were completely submerged in the sight of the elder Xiao Yan that the latter put away his scroll, but a smug smile suddenly appeared on the latter's face. This kind of magic, even if he tried his best, I am afraid that he would not be able to display it. His actions were only used to scare the son of ***, who had just stepped into the demigod level. Elder, your move is too abrupt. And, with your strength alone, you can't use magic. If the son of the gods doesn't retreat, I'm afraid our situation will become more dangerous. After all, Yao Ji is the person next to the Holy King. She has a lot of knowledge, so she can recognize the things in the other's hands at a glance, as well as the little tricks in the elder's heart. This guy is obviously trying to use the power of magic to scare off the demigods. Only now, he actually succeeded. God-level fighting skills. Magic. That is the most destructive force in this world. Under its offensive, even the demigods are ashamed. Like ants, life and death are not under their control. It's really a bit reluctant, but if he doesn't retire, the three of us may not be able to deal with him. It just takes too much time. Xiao Yan slowly put away his magic scroll, and then looked at the void behind the nether wall. Obviously, he also knew that too much time was wasted on the way. I am afraid that the battle in Nether City has already been done. It's getting to the point where it's hot. The void above Nether City in the distance has almost solidified, and the viscous and extremely violent energy ripples continue to spread, and there is a faint potential between the lightning and thunder. The intensity of that battle is far beyond ordinary reincarnation. Dare to ask Senior, in the city of Nether. Demon Xiao Yan's eyes were surging, as if he instinctively sensed a terrifying fluctuation from it, but the blood in his body conveyed a maddening breath of madness. The real devil does not have any emotions about retreating and failing in his heart, because the devil is reborn in destruction, destroyed in rebirth. Following Xiao Yan's voice, the crowd became quiet, and their eyes turned to Xiao Yunming, the King of Darkness. The city of the underworld is the core of the underworld. When I first entered the underworld, the void here was extremely unstable, and the forces of time and space such as spatial turbulence emerged one after another. It was like a new continent that had just been opened up and created. Later, I and Hades joined forces. It took a long time to stabilize this place and form a closed world. The King of Darkness tried hard to recall the original scenes, but the simple words revealed outrageous hardships. Unstable? The new continent that was just created? Listening to the Dark King telling such obscure things about the underworld, Xiao Yan and the others were instantly shocked. The vast territory of the underworld, even a space attribute powerhouse at the peak level of the ninefold reincarnation cannot create such a world. Is this the big man's heaven-penetrating skill? I don't know, but there is a very weak aura in the core of the underworld. That faint aura seems to be related to the existence of the underworld. Hades suspects that it is the source of the underworld. After the end of the First World War and the collapse of the Xiao clan, I waited for a joint effort to save a few of them, but the strange thing is that I have just brought those big men into the underworld, and I haven't found a good placement yet. In this place, they are not controlled by us at all. It seems that they instinctively occupy the area of the source of the underworld, involuntarily forming an ancient seal enchantment, and sheltering their figure in it. It seems that they are guarding against the prying eyes of some power. Even if you gather the power of the entire underworld today, you can't shake the seal enchantment in the slightest. The heaven and earth there, the Hades calls it the heavenly locked netherworld, and the underworld is built on it. The Dark King shook his head. Obviously, if it wasn't for the bad news at the beginning, he would not have been single-minded. With his talent and potential, his current achievements are probably at least at the level of a demigod. After sleeping for so long, Why don't those big men show any signs of waking up? The king of all beasts felt that something was vaguely wrong, shook his head and asked. After all, the strength of those few people, I am afraid they have passed through the cycle of reincarnation, and their vitality is so long that they have the same lifespan as heaven and earth. Do not know. Faced with the many questions in everyone's heart, the king of darkness could only helplessly shake his head. Let's go to the sealed land first. Once we can rescue it, we will succeed in this underworld war. Xiaoyan said. Go! As soon as the voice fell, everyone rushed towards the city of the underworld in a mighty manner. Continuing from the previous episode 2832, the layout of the underworld city at this time can be described as particularly moving. There, it is the battlefield where Hades and extraterritorial supremes fought. It is also the place where several Zeons of the Shao clan slept. This place is of indescribable importance for the battle of the underworld. In the sky of the underworld, swords, lights, swords and shadows flicker constantly, and the offensive is fierce and brutal. Pluto, I think you are also a smart person. Why bother to sacrifice your bright future for a few dying people? It's better to hand over a few people from the Shao clan and submit to my territory. With my first supreme divine power, it is enough for you to attack that supreme realm. At that time, everything in this world will not be in your pocket. Above the sky, 3 black shadows stood at a distance from each other. After hundreds of confrontations, gathering the strength of the 2 of them, they could not easily obtain any benefits in the hands of Hades. The void here has already become shattered. Obviously, the 3 of them have had countless fierce confrontations here, but there is no sign of winning, and the battle is extremely anxious. God of fighting. Pluto's voice was flat, and there was no reincarnation power flowing over the entire body, as if only a faint black luster flickered. That kind of power is not like the power of the devil, which is dark green and evil, but it is full of endless darkness and depth. That is the source of dark matter, the power of the underworld. Demigod rank. Late stage. This guy has been in the demigod rank for too long, and he has already established himself at the pinnacle of the demigod rank. With my strength alone, I'm afraid it will be difficult to win in a short period of time. Feeling the surging of the shocking weather, TNU, FA complexion sank. The 9-fold reincarnation level, including the definition of the first, middle and later stages of the demigods, is only for the length of time to step into the same level. However, as the top confidant general outside the territory, TNU, Fabi knows what this level of strength represents. The 2 of them, one of them is the supreme commander of the Holy Clan, and their strength ranks in the middle stage of demigods. One person is the confidant beside the head of the extraterritorial, and he is also in the middle stage of the demigod. However, by gathering the strength of the 2 of them, it was impossible to produce substantial lethality to the Pluto in the later stage of the demigod. Burned down. Why not let the leader from outside the territory come? I have long heard that the head outside the realm has stepped into that coveted realm. Pluto's voice was leisurely, filled with an inexplicable and powerful magic power. In his eyes, even the 2 mid-stage demigod rank powerhouses seemed unable to pose any threat. Demigods, quasi-gods, even fighting gods. It is no surprise that the strongest person in this world has stepped into the quasi-god ladder. In everyone's perception, there are only Shao Yushan, the patriarch of the Shao clan, and the leader of the outer region who dominates the outer region. Even the strength of the human world realm lord was only a demigod during the First World War. A mere demigod. I just want to provoke my king and overestimate what I can do. Stop talking nonsense. Let's do it. As soon as the voice fell, the sticky demonic energy around the 2 of them began to rise, and there was a vaguely terrifying force gathering rapidly. While speaking, the endless dark matter around Hades began to gather. This kind of power is not as evil as the power of the devil, and the whole body is full of endless mystery. There is a vague and primitive power that is vaguely noisy, just like the kind of aura derived from Xiaoyan's previous Fenju. Although it is weak, it is real. Existing. Since you are so obsessed, then I will have to kill God. TNU, the supreme commander of the FA and the Holy Clan sneered, and the evil fluctuations emanating from his gestures were domineering, just like a real evil god's mansion, magnificent, shaking the entire void of the city. Underneath, Bafang Xiajun and others looked gloomy, constantly urging the life force in their bodies, trying to resist the terrifying fluctuations overflowing from the space above the underworld. After all, under the underworld is the place of seal. Once an accident occurs, the consequences are unimaginable. Turn me on, Magic Sea Sanctuary. The Holy Race Supreme took the lead, and this time the latter did not have any reservations. As soon as the voice fell, the vast scarlet demonic energy erupted from the latter's body. The demonic energy was scarlet as blood, and just after it appeared, it covered the darkness in the entire void, and the entire void was set off as an evil darkness. Red. The sea of scarlet magic energy surged and gathered rapidly, and a never-ending sea of blood raged at will, and Taotao's magic powers shook the sky. After a while, the entire dim sky was suddenly viciously touched by the sea of devil energy and blood, stirred up, and formed a towering blood-colored execution ground. The blood-colored execution ground was slightly sunken, and the countless evil demonic energy around them completely imprisoned the bodies of the three people. The viscous scarlet demonic energy kept making a sharp whistling sound, as if it had a special life, forcibly pulling them into this place. In the execution ground. Are you ready to get serious? Then let me see. Where is the strength of the foreign evil race? Hades let out a long roar. The momentum was like rolling thunder. Obviously this moment is the real fight. Boom! The sea of blood is raging, and the entire void seems to be imprisoned by a special force. The three are in this special execution ground. It seems that only the fall of life can completely disintegrate this execution ground. Looking at the scarlet execution ground that was flickering violently with overwhelming destructive fluctuations, the eyes of Xiao Yan and the others who shot from a distance suddenly shrank. The demonic energy rolled violently like the turbulent waves in the ocean, and the scope of the wave was too wide. And if you look closely, you will find that these demonic energy even keep making this kind of shocking sound. It seems that some supernatural power has fallen on the ground. The upheaval caused by the sea of magic. The degree of ruthlessness has far subverted everyone's cognition. The aura of the two people disappears here. Looking at the sky of the underworld city, a strong sense of suffocation came upon his face, causing the demon robe behind the demon Xiao Yan to burst into unprecedented madness. As for the flame god Cauldron and the Zushan ruler, which are now entrenched in their hands, they now faintly feel a faint sense of the underworld below, and it seems that they instinctively smell some familiar fluctuations. The god execution ruler can sense this kind of aura, indicating that the trace of the Holy King also exists in the underworld. But the flame god Cauldron is an artifact of Xiao Tianyuan, the supreme leader of the Xiao family, so why does it sense such fluctuations? There is a special seal outside the city of Hades. Without the permission of Hades, almost no demigods can step into it. The seal of the Xiao family is under the city of Nether. The King of Darkness was in a dilemma for a while watching the fierce confrontation that was surging in the sky, and the actions of the Bafeng Xiajun and others below. Now, the palms of the hands and the backs of the hands are full of flesh. Do you want to enter the underworld first to save the Xiao clan, or help the underworld king to repel the two extraterritorial evil clans supreme? Continuing from the previous episode 2833. Long. In the sea of stench of demonic energy, monstrous waves, bones, evil grievances, etc., are constantly aroused, and it is quite a scene of the end of hell. That is, the quasi-divine technique among the foreign evil races, the demon blood execution field. After a while, Elder Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed slightly, and then he smelled some moving aura from the sea of demonic energy. That is the vicious technique of the evil race from outside the territory. It forcibly pulls the fighting powers into the demonic execution ground. If the winner is not determined, the demonic execution field will swallow everyone away, which can be said to be extremely evil. How to decide? We listen to you. After a short while, the King of Darkness and Xiao Yan were the two leaders, and their eyes were set on Xiao Yan at the same time. At this time, the latter was the strongest among the crowd, and it was enough to provoke this role. Senior Hades paid such a price for my Xiao clan. How can people from my Xiao clan die? We can't just give up Pluto. Let's go. Xiao Yan's eyes slowly moved from the underworld city, and immediately stared at the three breaths in the sea of devil energy. Good boy, have courage. This is the *** man of my Xiao family. The King of Darkness also laughed in admiration. Let's go together. During the conversation, everyone also looked at each other and smiled, and then fell into the sea of devil energy together, even if their strength is only the 8th or even the 7th reincarnation rank, but now facing the powerhouse of the semi-god rank, what is there to fear? What about it? Deputy Boundary Master, Xiao Yan and the others have stepped into the ocean of demonic energy. What do you think we should do? Wangshun Xuanjun, who was hidden behind the underworld, said tremblingly, this trip to the underworld was too dangerous. There is a very mysterious power around the underworld, and I can't step into it with my power, and this underworld is full of a strange and more ethereal aura, and we may not be able to leave here easily now. Go, enter the sea of demonic energy. I hope the 2 demigods don't die too fast. In this case, if the 3 of them join forces, even Hades can't resist. While speaking, the 2 of them also jumped and stepped directly into the sea of magic energy. For a time, the entire sea of magic energy in the city of Nether was full of strong people. 4 demigods, digital 9-fold reincarnation. Boom. The void in the demonic execution ground froze, and the energy of the heavens and the earth was very small. The supreme saint of the Holy Clan took the lead in roaring, thunder, and the sound of war drums. One after another terrifying voice filled the air, and the pace slowly stepped on the billowing demonic energy. Suddenly, a pitch-black abyss crack gradually appeared in the closed demonic execution ground, and a pitch-black stone sword only the size of an arm was looming, as if it had come across the endless void. The jet-black robe waved slightly. At this moment, the supreme saint of the holy race was like the supreme ruler who truly controlled the sky. His arm suddenly grabbed the jet-black stone sword, and a dazzling jet-black color flickered out of it. The evil lines on the sword are even more brilliant. Pluto's eyes narrowed slightly, as if he had long expected the latter's means. At this moment, all the dark matter in his body turned into countless sand particles floating around his body, and a Ling Tian posture became more and more terrifying. Pluto, do you recognize this thing? The body rose up little by little, and there were vague traces of being entrenched in the middle of the demonic execution ground. The evil artifact from outside the realm, the Spirit Sword of Heaven. Its power is only comparable to the top 5 artifacts in the human world. Pluto narrowed his eyes slightly, and saw the origin of this thing at a glance. Now that you know, let's be silent here. The voice fell, and the dark blue veins on the arm of the supreme saint of the holy race burst out, and slowly shot back towards the position of Hades, and a shocking sword pointed to the position of Hades out of thin air. The ocean of devilish energy hummed and trembled in an instant, and even the devilish execution ground constructed by the demigod powerhouse was trembling faintly at this moment. The void shattered, and countless demonic energies were completely slashed by the pitch-black stone sword like a bereaved dog. Although this kind of power had not yet reached the realm of divine arts, it was by no means comparable to ordinary quasi-sacred arts. In the face of such a destructive finger, Hades did not dodge, because he knew that behind him was the city of Hades, the heroes who had made great contributions to the great world. If he retreated, he might cause some changes in their seal enchantment, even if the possibility is very small. Pluto will not bet. The body is slightly erect, and the head is raised and the chest is raised, like a rebellious eternal emperor, who turned out to resist such a destructive finger out of thin air. The pitch-black destructive power tilted down from the pitch-black stone sword, without any spillage, all shrouded in Hades' handsome face and slender body. In the distance, the King of Darkness and others, who had just been deep in the sea of demonic energy, shrank slightly, as if they had a premonition of something. Unfortunately, when the wave of evil faded away and the pitch-black stone sword slowly disappeared, the body of Hades did not suffer any damage. He just swayed his sleeves, and countless grains of sand fell like dust, as if nothing happened. How could it be? Isolated. After a short while, the body of Hades appeared in front of the 2 again. At this time, Hades, except for the contempt and pride in his eyes, became stronger and stronger. There was no damage. In other words, the sword that was enough to cause fatal damage to the demigod powerhouse just now did not play any role. The dark matter around him seems to have some strange power. It can't be delayed. Heavenly Protector, after Fa Yang's scarlet execution ground was stabilized, he immediately stood beside the Supreme Saint. At this time, the dark substances around Hades were transformed into colorless and transparent sand grains. Extraordinarily dazzling. Under the coverage of this kind of sand, Even the monstrous demonic energy released by the two powerhouses is rapidly fading. Roar! The two roared at the same time, and the deafening roar spread throughout the underworld. There seems to be countless evil forces hidden in the ocean of devilish energy. With the appearance of the roar, the area of the ocean of devilish energy is rapidly shrinking, and it is continuously injected into the bodies of the two of them. This blow, a funeral for you. Tianke Demon Palace. At this time, all the evil forces turned into a bright sticky galaxy. The evil fluorescence that pervaded it, dense and outrageous, gathered together at this moment, and illuminated most of the entire dark underworld. Countless galaxies formed by pure evil forces converge, superimpose, and merge together. Whistling, piercing, shattering, trampling, countless power fluctuations emerged from the top of the execution ground, causing Hades' face to slowly become solemn. Pluto, retreat. If you retreat, the underworld city behind will be completely destroyed. Ha ha ha. An evil magic mouth that stretches for thousands of miles, with no end in sight, gathers together. As soon as it twists, it opens its mouth slightly, as if asking for something, as if roaring in anger. Layer after layer of evil brilliance surrounds it, setting off its incomparably powerful posture, so strong that it is so suffocating that it is so tight. That level of attack seems to have stopped the real danger to Hades' life. Continuing from the previous episode 2834. More and more energy of the underworld was swallowed by its magic mouth, and the terrifying energy of the bones continued to emerge from it, just like a channel that really connected to the land of death. The magic mouth opened its huge mouth little by little, facing it. The void around Hades roared away, and the world trembled. The void suddenly solidified, and all the space forces seemed to fail completely at this moment, and even all the energy in the air suddenly distorted. Such a terrifying attack, if it were anyone else, I am afraid that it would have been easily swallowed and wiped away by this magic mouth. This? Xiao Yan and the others, who were rushing on the road, were viciously moved, and they watched this scene with shock on their faces. Such terrifying fluctuations really made their hearts spin rapidly. Even with the strength of the three of them, they can't resist this kind of evil spirit, which is too terrifying. Hide away. Countless people in the back held their breaths, their eyes filled with extremely worried expressions, but now it is indeed very small. There's no way to hide. Once he retreats, this destructive force will act on the city of Hades. Not only will the seal imposed by the king of Hades above the city of Hades shatter in an instant, but at that time, even the strong people of the Shao clan the sleeping place will also be completely exposed in front of the two of them. The situation will get worse. Knowing the nature of Hades, the king of darkness immediately said in a deep voice, the speed exploded, but the viscous sea of magic energy around him blocked the speed of everyone's movement. After all, this is a sea of demonic energy condensed by the demigod-level powerhouses, and it is naturally very difficult for the 9-layer reincarnation-level peak powerhouses to move. Quote. The corpse screamed, and the sky of the underworld looked very sad and miserable, but this execution ground in the sea of demonic energy instantly turned upside down, and countless scarlet demons flew around, stirring violently like chaos. Under such a shocking attack, it seemed that everyone forgot to breathe and stared blankly at the Pluto, who was like an old man. Because they all know that if Pluto does nothing, I am afraid that the next moment will be swallowed by that magic mouth, chewed, and turned into a pile of bones, and if Pluto is defeated, I am afraid that the trip to the underworld will be even more difficult. Boom! The ocean of demonic energy finally collapsed completely at this moment, and countless corpses and bones fell from the air. Looking at the past, only a strong sense of suffocation occupies the whole mind. Although that kind of power is still in the category of quasi-divine arts, it seems that no one can resist it among the people today, and even the face of Hades has become extraordinarily solemn. The battle is endless. As they spoke, the King of Darkness and the demon Xiao Yan rolled around with blood and energy, directly leaving the large army, and suddenly flew into the distorted patch. Direction away. The space is twisting strangely. Sand claws. When he saw such a mad mouth surging and swallowing everything, Pluto's calm eyes suddenly burst into a rare fiery, and the corners of his mouth were barely cracked, revealing a heart-pounding smile. The next moment, the evil magic mouth that was huge enough to distort everything unexpectedly stopped moving, and a monstrous giant claw completely composed of dark matter occupied everyone's sight out of thin air and appeared in front of the magic mouth. Guru, when did this appear? Heavenly Protector, FA and Holy Clan Supreme tried their best to mobilize the magic mouth to try to completely obliterate Hades, but they didn't even feel anything. But when they looked up, a pitch-black giant claw appeared out of thin air in the magic mouth. In the advancing void, the countless grains of sand all over the body trembled, like some kind of supreme divine power that spanned time and space. The divine might wrinkled. The dark giant claws are many times more powerful than the dragon claws that Xiao Yan had used in the past. The power in them can be seen from heaven and earth, and it is enough to completely compete with the evil magic mouth. This bastard, egg. At this moment, TNU, FA and the supreme being of the Holy Clan snorted coldly at the same time, and the uneasiness in the pupils rapidly expanded. The longer they stay in the underworld, the greater the load on them, and now the King of Hades is displaying such a chilling attack, and the crisis is approaching them little by little. Needless to say, the two attacks completely attacked together. The claws waved slightly, and then slapped it at the evil devil's mouth. The moment it moved, the entire underworld became completely silent, and then a heart-piercing roar of pain sounded from the devil's mouth, and the sound of cracking fragments swept across this area. Skyrim. It seems that such a claw attack is no longer a single claw attack, but some kind of wave that carries God. When out, seeing the demise of the evil magic mouth that could not cause any disturbance at all, the face of the Holy Race Supreme became extremely gloomy. The strength and combat effectiveness of this Hades seemed to be even more terrifying than they had expected. Such a series of attacks did not cause him to be injured in the slightest. Sand. Is this one of the soil properties? At this moment, the cheeks of the two supreme powerhouses of the extraterrestrial evil race moved slightly. The attribute of Pluto is actually the grain of sand in the Earth attribute. Among the grains of sand, there is clearly a wave that is enough to shatter the evil power. The power of darkness, or the illusory primordial breath. Boom! The terrifying ripples that shook the heavens and the earth raged, like a rolling heat wave slamming into the hearts of everyone. The claw of the underworld did not disappear in the smashing of the evil devil's mouth. Instead, it was surrounded by Hades. Is this guy still human? At this moment, the minds of the two of them couldn't help but be moved. It seems that the Pluto at this moment is already based on an invincible position. HMPH, it's just to provoke the power of the source in the body. Just when the two extraterritorial evil race powerhouses were shocked, an uncoordinated voice sounded slowly. The two of you, it's better for me to join forces. After all, the power of the source is secretly motivated by the current Hades, and it is already the end of the shot. Just when the two of them had just retreated, the high-pitched voice of the Son of the Gods sounded from their side. Obviously, these little tricks of the Hades were seen through by the Son of the Gods at a glance. The center of the human world, the sub-realm host? TNU, FA and the two looked at each other, and immediately hesitated. Don't worry, our goals are the same. It's all Xiao Clan. Ren Shenzi is naturally not afraid that the two will go back on their regrets. After all, they are on the same boat today. HMPH, the Great Thousand Worlds are really scumbags. During the First World War, how united the Great Thousand World was. Countless strong men did their best in exchange for victory. I never imagined that after a long period of time, the Great Thousand World was actually ruled and occupied by you and other villains. Looking at the appearance of the Son of God, there was a hint of regret in Pluto's eyes gradually, and traces of sand continued to surge. With the appearance of these forces, Pluto's life slowly disappeared. Obviously, the reason why the latter was able to deal with the two of them so calmly was that he had the determination to die from the very beginning, and that he secretly motivated the source to have such power.